You've probably heard it before. Emotions are powerful. But have you ever stopped to think about how much control they really have over your life? If you don't learn to control your emotions, they will control you, and that could cost you your peace, your success, and even your relationships. What if the very things that are holding you back are not outside of you, but within you? In today's video, we're going to explore 6 critical traits that might be exposing your weaknesses and preventing you from living your fullest life. And these traits, they're not about the external world, they're about how you're reacting to it. These Stoic principles, when applied, can transform your emotional control and mental resilience. So, if you're ready to take charge of your life and break free from the chains of your own limitation, stay with me until the end, because I'm going to share a powerful technique you can use right away to start changing the way you respond to the world. Trait 1. The fool who cannot control his emotions. We all know someone, or perhaps we've even been that person, who lets their emotions dictate their actions. Picture this. You're in the middle of a heated argument, and your anger flares up. Everything around you is blurry, and all you can think about is winning that fight. The adrenaline rush makes it feel like the only thing that matters is proving you're right. The next day, when the dust settles, you may regret the harsh words you said or the impulsive actions you took. Maybe the conversation escalated further than it should have, or you said things that you didn't truly mean. And there's that lingering feeling of discomfort, the reality that your emotions got the best of you, leading you to act in a way that doesn't align with your true character. The Stoics tell us that this lack of emotional control makes us fools. It's easy to let emotions take over. After all, they are powerful. But what if you could take a step back in that moment, calm the storm within, and control your response? What if, instead of reacting impulsively, you paused, reflected, and chose your reaction with wisdom? Emotional control is one of the pillars of Stoicism. It's not about suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't feel anger, sadness, or frustration. It's about acknowledging those feelings and making a conscious choice about how to respond to them. As Seneca wisely put it, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This quote highlights how our emotional reactions often distort our perception of reality. When we allow ourselves to be swept away by anger, frustration, or fear, we lose control not only of the situation but also of ourselves. Our minds race, and in that moment, logic and clarity are clouded by overwhelming emotion. But the Stoics understood that we cannot control external events. The only thing we can truly control is our response. By mastering emotional control, we free ourselves from the chaos of impulsive decisions, and we open the door to a more peaceful, thoughtful, and purposeful life. Now, imagine what could happen if you learned to pause, to breathe, and to choose how to react in emotionally charged situation. Instead of blowing up at your partner or snapping at a colleague, you could take a deep breath, step back, and assess the situation with a clearer, more grounded perspective. You could choose to respond with kindness, understanding, or patience, traits that not only benefit you but also foster healthier relationships with others. It's not easy, but it is possible, and it's one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. The Stoic practice of emotional control doesn't come overnight, but it starts with mindfulness. Being present in the moment and aware of our feelings allows us to separate the emotion from the action. Instead of letting our emotions drive us, we can consciously decide how to act. This gives us the ability to respond wisely, rather than react blindly. To develop this emotional intelligence, you can begin incorporating Stoic practices into your daily life, such as journaling or meditation. Reflecting on your emotional responses through journaling helps increase self-awareness. For instance, every night, take a moment to reflect on your day. Ask yourself, did I let my emotions control me today? What situations triggered my emotional reactions, and how could I have handled them differently? This practice of self-reflection, paired with mindfulness, gradually shifts your responses. Over time, this technique will help you pause in the heat of the moment, giving you the space to choose a wiser path and make more intentional decisions. The more you practice, the less reactive you'll become, and the more in control you'll feel. By taking ownership of your emotional responses and choosing wisdom over impulse, you'll be less of a fool and more of a wise, resilient person, someone who can handle life's ups and downs with calm and clarity. Now that we've explored how emotional control is key to overcoming weaknesses, let's dive into another critical trait, one that often stops people from growing: blaming others for our misfortunes. Trait 2. The fool who blames others for his misfortune. Blaming others for our problems. It's something almost all of us do at some point. You've probably heard it before. If only my boss was more supportive, or I would be more successful if I had better luck. At times, it feels easier to blame the circumstances, the people around us, or even life itself for the things that don't go as planned. It's a natural reaction, one that many of us fall into when we face difficulties. But here's the truth: constantly blaming others for our misfortunes doesn't empower us. It makes us weaker. It robs us of the one thing we can always control: our own actions and our responses to external events. When we point fingers at others, we relinquish control over our lives. The Stoics were keenly aware of this, and they made it clear: we must take responsibility for our own actions and circumstances, regardless of what life throws our way. Imagine a time when you blamed someone else for your failure, whether it was a missed opportunity, a setback at work, or a personal mistake. Perhaps it was a colleague who didn't do their part, or maybe it was a family member who didn't understand your vision. It's easy to feel frustrated and angry, especially when others seem to be the cause of our troubles. But the Stoic mindset challenges us to reframe this. Blaming others doesn't change anything. In fact, it keeps us stuck in a cycle of powerlessness, where we feel like victims of our circumstances. Epictetus, a great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possession, but in having few wants." In this, Epictetus teaches that peace of mind and control over your life do not come from blaming others for your lack of success. Instead, they come from taking ownership of your actions, your decisions, and your mindset. True power lies in the ability to recognize what is in our control and what is not. When you point the finger at others, you give away your power. You let external forces dictate your emotions, your actions, and your future. But when you take personal responsibility, you reclaim that power. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of life's circumstances, and instead, you become the author of your own story. You start to focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your decisions, and your reactions. This shift in perspective is profound. It allows you to grow, evolve, and rise above challenges rather than stay stuck in the mud of blame. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this? What could I have done differently?" This simple yet powerful shift is the key to building resilience and achieving growth. It doesn't mean ignoring the actions of others or pretending that external forces don't impact you. It means acknowledging that while you can't control everything around you, you do have control over how you respond to what happens. The Stoic practice of taking responsibility for your circumstances involves recognizing that external events are beyond your control, but your reaction to those events is entirely yours. Stoic practices like journaling and reflection can help you develop this mindset. Every day, take a moment to reflect on the challenges you faced and how you responded. Did you blame others? Or did you take charge, find solutions, and move forward? This self-reflection allows you to break free from the cycle of blame, empowering you to create change from within. Over time, this practice will strengthen your inner resolve, making you more resilient and less likely to fall into the trap of blaming others. As we shift away from blame, it's important to recognize another powerful obstacle to growth: fear. Fear is one of the most paralyzing forces in life, and it's something the Stoics understood deeply. Fear keeps us stuck, prevents us from taking action, and stops us from pursuing the life we truly want. So, let's explore the next trait of the fool: the fear of change. Trait 3. The fool who fears change. Fear of change. It's something that holds so many people back, keeping them stuck in the same old routines, the same old situation. How often do we find ourselves in jobs, relationships, or situations that no longer serve us simply because the thought of change is terrifying? Change is inevitable, and yet, despite its inevitability, many of us resist it with every fiber of our being. We fear the unknown, the uncertainty of what lies ahead, and the idea that we may not be able to handle what comes next. We become comfortable in our discomfort, finding security in what is familiar, even when it no longer benefits us. But the Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, knew that change is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. The only constant in life is change, and how we respond to it determines our growth. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you hesitated to make a change because you were afraid of what might happen? Perhaps you stayed in a job you didn't like because it felt safe, even though you knew it was holding you back. Or maybe you've put off starting a project you've been dreaming about because you feared failure, the idea of falling short, or the uncertainty of whether you could succeed. The Stoic mindset teaches us that we cannot control the world around us, but we can control how we respond to it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, what seems like an obstacle, whether it's a change in circumstances or a new challenge, can actually be the very thing that helps us grow. It is not the obstacle itself, but our response to it, that defines our future. When we fear change, we resist growth. But in reality, it's through change that we develop and evolve. The Stoics didn't view change as a threat, but as an opportunity to build resilience and mental fortitude. They understood that growth happens when we step outside our comfort zones, when we face the unknown with courage, and when we lean into discomfort. Whether it's a career change, a shift in personal relationships, or embarking on a new project, embracing change forces us to adapt, to develop new skills, and to expand our mindset. The Stoic philosophers knew that we would be tested by life, and that change is one of the most powerful ways to strengthen our inner resolve. When you choose to embrace change rather than avoid it, you create the conditions for personal development. Imagine the possibilities that open up when you stop resisting what is inevitable and start seeing it as a chance to evolve. The Stoics didn't just survive change, they thrived in it. They saw it as an essential element of living a meaningful life. For example, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, faced constant change in his reign. From the pressures of leading an empire, to facing betrayal, personal loss, and constant conflict, Marcus Aurelius didn't shy away from the challenges that life threw at him. Instead, he used them to refine his understanding of life, his values, and his own resilience. One powerful technique to overcome the fear of change is to practice voluntary discomfort. This Stoic practice involves intentionally putting yourself in uncomfortable situations to build mental resilience. For example, you could challenge yourself by fasting for a day, taking cold showers, or committing to a rigorous physical workout. Or perhaps, it's about stepping outside of your comfort zone by having a difficult conversation or taking on a leadership role at work. Even committing to learning a new skill, like picking up a new language or learning an instrument, can be uncomfortable but ultimately rewarding. These small acts of discomfort help you become more adaptable and less fearful of change. Over time, they build your confidence and make it easier to embrace the uncertainties of life. The key is to stop seeing change as a threat and start seeing it as a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Change doesn't need to be something that happens to us. We can make it something we choose to step into. We can view it as an opportunity for growth, not a challenge to be feared. And as we continue to embrace change, we learn to handle adversity with grace and strength. As the Stoics understood, life is not about avoiding challenges, it's about how we rise to meet them. Now, after exploring the fear of change, let's move on to another obstacle that often keeps us from moving forward: avoiding adversity. Let's see how this trait of avoidance holds us back from reaching our true potential and personal growth. Trait 4. The fool who avoids adversity. Adversity. It's a word that many of us try to avoid, yet it's something we all encounter in life. Whether it's a difficult situation at work, a personal setback, or unexpected challenges, adversity is inevitable. Life is full of obstacles, and sometimes it feels like they just keep coming, one after the other. Yet, Despite knowing that adversity is a natural part of the human experience, how often do we try to avoid it? How many of us, when faced with a tough situation, immediately look for the quickest way out, the fastest escape, or the easiest solution? It's a human instinct to avoid discomfort. But the Stoics, with their profound wisdom, teach us that adversity is not something to avoid, it's something to embrace. In fact, the Stoics understood that it is through facing adversity head-on that we build resilience and become stronger individuals. They saw challenges not as barriers, but as opportunities to grow. Imagine this: you're presented with a challenge, something that feels uncomfortable, difficult, or even overwhelming. Maybe it's a project at work that you're not quite sure how to approach, or perhaps it's a personal struggle you've been avoiding for months or even years. The natural reaction, in these situations, is often to look for an easier path, to try to escape the discomfort. It could be avoiding that conversation you've been meaning to have, or procrastinating on a task that feels too daunting. But the Stoic mindset flips this on its head. Instead of avoiding adversity, the Stoics believed in confronting it head-on, recognizing that it's in these difficult moments that we truly discover what we're made of. They understood that it's through hardship that we build mental fortitude, that we gain insight into our character, and that we develop the qualities that help us navigate life with strength and resilience. As Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." This quote perfectly captures the Stoic view that adversity is an essential part of our personal development. When we avoid adversity, we deny ourselves the opportunity to grow. We remain stagnant in our comfort zones, afraid to push beyond the boundaries we've set for ourselves. But when we choose to face adversity, we open ourselves up to growth in ways we never imagined. Facing hardship teaches us invaluable lessons about resilience, patience, and perseverance. Think about the last time you faced something difficult, whether it was a tough decision at work, a personal failure, or a situation that tested your patience. How did you react? Did you avoid it, hoping it would go away on its own, or did you face it, albeit with some fear, but with a willingness to overcome? The next time you're faced with a challenge, try to shift your mindset. Instead of looking for the easiest way out, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience? When you start embracing adversity, you'll find that you're not only building resilience, but also gaining the mental toughness that will help you face future challenges with confidence and grace. The Stoics didn't run away from their problems. They didn't wish for an easy life. Instead, they understood that life's difficulties are the very things that shape us into strong, capable people. They recognized that adversity, when faced with the right mindset, can refine our character and make us better equipped to handle whatever life throws at us. Stoic practices like mindfulness and self-reflection can help you shift your perspective on adversity. By being present and acknowledging the discomfort you're feeling in challenging moments, you can start to see those moments not as obstacles to avoid, but as opportunities for growth. It's like lifting weights at the gym. Just as lifting weights builds physical strength, facing tough situations builds mental and emotional strength. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to embrace adversity, and the stronger you'll become in the process. Think of adversity as the gym for your mind. It's where your mental and emotional muscles are tested and strengthened. And just like a muscle that gets stronger with consistent training, your ability to navigate life's challenges improves the more you face them. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, even painful. But over time, you'll find that you not only handle adversity better, but also learn to thrive in situations that once seemed impossible. Each difficulty you overcome becomes another building block in the foundation of your mental fortitude. As you continue to practice embracing adversity, you'll notice that your capacity to deal with challenges increases. You'll stop seeing obstacles as barriers, and start seeing them as opportunities for growth and learning. The Stoic approach to adversity isn't about avoiding the hard parts of life, it's about stepping into them, fully aware that each challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen your character and develop the mental resilience necessary to live a purposeful life. Now that we've discussed the importance of facing adversity, let's move on to another trait that often holds people back: the need for external validation. Seeking approval from others can keep us stuck in patterns that limit our growth. Let's dive into how this need for validation can prevent us from truly living up to our potential. Trait 5. The fool who chases external validation. How often do we look to others for approval? Whether it's seeking likes on social media, waiting for a compliment at work, or hoping our friends and family will validate our choices, it's easy to fall into the trap of chasing external validation. In a world that thrives on opinions, feedback, and constant comparison, it can feel as though our worth is tied to how others perceive us. We all want to feel accepted, to feel like we matter. It's a basic human desire to seek recognition and approval from the people around us. But here's the thing, when we rely too much on others for validation, we lose touch with ourselves. We give away our power to others, and in doing so, we limit our own potential. This dependency on others' opinions becomes a chain that binds us, preventing us from living authentically and fully. The Stoics understood that true peace and self-worth come from within, not from the opinions or recognition of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This profound insight reveals the Stoic belief that peace comes from mastering the way we think and view ourselves, not from seeking approval from external sources. The Stoics didn't believe in seeking approval from others because they knew that such validation is fleeting and ultimately unfulfilling. When we base our worth on what others think of us, we place ourselves at the mercy of their opinions, and this creates an unstable foundation for our self-esteem. It's as if we're standing on sand, constantly shifting and uncertain. The foundation is weak, and every change in the winds of external judgment leaves us unsteady and unsure of ourselves. But when we seek validation from within, when we align our actions with our values and virtues, we build a solid, unwavering foundation. We become anchored in the knowledge that our worth doesn't fluctuate with the approval or disapproval of others. Instead, it remains constant, built on a foundation of integrity and self-respect. Think about it. When was the last time you sought approval from someone else? Maybe you posted something online, hoping for likes and comments, or perhaps you waited for your boss to praise your work. It's natural to want recognition, but if we depend on that recognition for our happiness, we're putting ourselves in a vulnerable position. We are, in essence, letting other people determine how we feel about ourselves. The Stoic approach is simple. Focus on what you can control, what you think of yourself, how you choose to live, and the integrity you maintain in your actions. That's what truly matters. When you validate yourself, you no longer need external approval to feel worthy. A simple Stoic practice to combat the need for external validation is the practice of self-reflection. Every day, reflect on your actions, your values, and your intentions. Ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my values today? Did I do what was right, not for the approval of others, but because it was the right thing to do? This simple act of reflection helps shift your focus from seeking approval from the outside world to fostering internal strength and confidence. It allows you to evaluate your day, not based on others' opinions, but on your own moral compass. Over time, this practice of reflection strengthens your ability to trust yourself and your choices. You start to realize that your value comes from within, from living in alignment with your principles, rather than from the fleeting opinions of others. The more you build this inner validation, the less you'll be swayed by the opinions of others, and the more you'll be free to live authentically. You'll no longer be at the mercy of the judgments of others, whether it's a colleague's opinion at work or the commentary of social media followers. This freedom is liberating. It gives you the courage to live out your true self without the fear of judgment or rejection. You will also begin to notice a shift in your relationships. When you stop seeking validation from others, you become more comfortable in your own skin, and this authenticity attracts people who value you for who you are, not for the image you project. Now, as we move away from seeking external approval, let's look at the next trait, the lack of purpose. A life without purpose is a life adrift, constantly searching for meaning. It's something that many people struggle with, especially in a world full of distractions and surface-level goals. But the Stoics believed that having a clear, intentional purpose, is one of the most important ways to live a fulfilled and meaningful life. So, let's explore the dangers of living without purpose and the importance of setting a clear course for your life. Trait 6. The fool who lives without purpose. Living without purpose. It's one of the most common traps people fall into without even realizing it. We go through the motions of life, checking off boxes, following routines, but without a deeper sense of why we're doing it. We wake up, go to work, come home, and repeat. Day after day, we might feel like we're simply going through the motion, doing what's expected of us, yet there's something missing. It's as if we're living on autopilot, unsure of the true meaning behind our actions. But the Stoics understood something crucial. A life without purpose is a life devoid of meaning. Without a clear sense of direction, we're not actively living, we're merely existing. We become passive participants in our own lives, lost in a sea of distractions, constantly searching for fulfillment in things that don't bring us lasting satisfaction. And it's in that emptiness, that feeling of being adrift, that many of us find ourselves questioning, is this all there is? The Stoics knew that without purpose, life feels hollow. It's in that questioning that we discover our need for something more, something deeper than the surface-level experiences that society often encourages us to chase. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that a purposeful life is built on living with intention. Every action we take, every choice we make, should be guided by our core values and beliefs. The Stoics emphasized that we are not simply victims of circumstances, but architects of our own lives. Purpose doesn't just fall into our laps. It is something we create through deliberate thought and conscious decisions. Without a sense of purpose, we become slaves to external forces, whether it's the pressure to fit in, the pursuit of fleeting pleasures, or the need for external validation, as we discussed earlier. We begin to live for others, chasing after things that aren't truly meaningful to us. But when we live with purpose, we take control of our own lives. We know what matters to us, and we make decisions based on those priorities. As Epictetus wisely put it, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This quote emphasizes that purpose starts with self-reflection. It's about understanding who you want to be, not who others expect you to be. When you are clear on your values and your purpose, your actions align with your true self, not with the expectations or judgments of others. But how do you find your purpose? It's not something that can be figured out in a day, and it's certainly not something that can be discovered by simply following the crowd. Finding your purpose starts with asking yourself some fundamental questions. What are your values? What brings you joy and fulfillment? What do you want to contribute to the world? These aren't just abstract ideas, they are the building blocks of a life driven by intention. They help you define what truly matters to you. For instance, if you value kindness and helping others, your purpose might revolve around serving your community. If you value creativity and innovation, your purpose might lie in creating new ideas or solving problems in unique ways. Once you begin to explore these questions, you start to uncover what truly inspires and motivates you. And once you know what your purpose is, every decision becomes easier. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your values, and you start investing your energy in what truly matters to you. This makes life not just more fulfilling, but also more directed, because you are actively working towards something meaningful. To help you discover your purpose, try journaling. Take time each day to write about what you're passionate about, what excites you, and what you want to achieve. Ask yourself, what impact do I want to have on the world? What kind of person do I want to be? These reflections will begin to clarify your purpose. Over time, this journaling practice will guide you toward a life of purpose and meaning, making it easier to avoid distractions and focus on what truly matters. Living with purpose doesn't mean avoiding challenges. It means that, even in the face of adversity, you can stay focused on what you value most. It provides you with the mental clarity to navigate obstacles without losing sight of your goals. Living with purpose not only enhances your personal growth, but also strengthens your mental resilience. When you are anchored in a clear sense of purpose, Challenges become stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Every setback, every obstacle, becomes an opportunity for growth, because your purpose gives you the strength to keep moving forward, even when things get tough. This mental resilience is what allows you to weather life's storms, knowing that each challenge is helping you become the person you are meant to be. Now, as we wrap up this exploration of the 6 traits that expose our weaknesses, remember that each of these traits is an opportunity to become stronger. By addressing them head-on and incorporating Stoic practices into your daily life, you can take control of your emotions, overcome adversity, and live with intention. When you embrace these Stoic principles, you are no longer at the mercy of life's circumstances. You become the master of your fate, living a life that is truly yours, driven by purpose, not by random chance or the approval of others. We've gone over 6 Stoic traits that expose your weaknesses: the inability to control emotions, blaming others, fearing change, avoiding adversity, chasing external validation, and living without purpose. These traits hold you back from becoming the resilient, purposeful person you were meant to be. But here's the truth: you have the power to change all of this. By embracing Stoic practices like emotional control, self-reflection, and living with intention, you can break free from these limiting habits. Remember, your strength lies not in what happens to you, but in how you choose to respond. So, if you're ready to take responsibility for your life and build mental resilience, start today, because the life you're meant to live is waiting for you. If this message resonated with you, like this video, share it with someone who could use these insights, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content that will help you grow, live with purpose, and master your emotions.